Hey, hey, hey. All right, take 3. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask Me Monday. I am Vickie Howell. We are having some audio issues, so we are starting over again. Hopefully, we have righted the wrong. I updated my Wi-Fi, so fingers crossed. Just to reiterate, for those of you that have been watching, for all takes, I just have to say it again because I'm really, really grateful to have partnered up with Knitter's Pride, which is Knit Pro if you're out of North America. And they have they've signed on to bring this show to you, Ask Me Monday, for the next 6 months. So we're going to be doing 3 episodes a month, thanks to them. So all of the needles and tools that I use will be brought by them as well. And I really appreciate their support. They really stepped up for me with the knit show and brought every single Vicks tip to you, the audience. So if you haven't already, you can go to the YouTube channel and you can watch just the Vicks tips playlist if you'd like, or rewatch, because I'm going to assume you've all watched it, right? The entire first season, and it is the last segment of every episode. All right. I would love it if, once again, I know some of you did it already, if you would just post what you worked on over the weekend, whether you were knitting, crocheting, painting, taking photos, baking, however you were creative. If you have a link or a picture, please post it. I love seeing that stuff, and I think the community does as well. I'm going to come back at the end, if I remember, and talk about what I worked on over the weekend. But I think that a lot of you would like it if I just dove into the tutorial, so I will do that. If you are watching this later on YouTube, I will write in the show description at what point the demonstration starts. Okay, as it starts to get warmer, and I'm sorry, South Dakota and East Coast, because I know it's still kind of awful weather there. I live in Austin, Texas. It's lovely here right now, but it's about to be death hot. But as the weather gets warmer, it's time to kind of shift our knitting and crochet. And that means changing up fibers a little bit, but it can also mean switching up stitches a bit. So I'm going to be working today with this really beautiful organic cotton. It's by my friend Kristen Omdahl. This is actually just leftovers that I had from the knit show. Not from when she was a guest, though. Actually, when my friend Drew Emborski was a guest, and he crocheted this bag out of it. It's a lovely, lovely yarn to work with. Not being paid to say that. I just really dig it. It's really nice. It's Kristen Omdahl. The yarn is called Be So Tender. All right. The focus for today, though, is going to be on working open stitches that are great for warmer weather. First of all, this entire episode was inspired by, this is going to be backwards because of the front-facing camera. I'll flip it over so you can see it. But if you don't have Vogue Knitting, the Ultimate Knitting Book, let me tell you, if you buy one resource, this should be it. This is their updated version. They sent it to me, and I was flipping through it, and that's where I got the idea to do this open weave episode. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So we're going to be working on 3 stitches today. One is the elongated garter stitch. Another is the Indian cross stitch. And the last one is a take on regular drop stitches. It's a decorative ladder stitch. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this. And yes, these are all knitting stitches this time. If you are a crocheter and you would like to see some crocheted openwork stitches, do you ever do that where you put the total wrong emphasis on the part of this sentence that you should be? I'm going to just stop talking and I'm just going to go into demonstration. If you would like a crochet version, please just post and let me know. Oh, thank you. Belinda's saying the purple shawl on the back is nice. This is my Torrance triangle shawl. I put it up there because it's open work. It's actually crocheted. The pattern and kits are available on the Interweave website. It was something that I did for them maybe a year or so ago. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera around. You guys continue to talk to each other. If you know anybody that you think would like to learn about open weave stitches for knitting, please share this video. That really helps people be able to find me and watch it. Just a side note, I have put, and let me see if I can do it right here. Let me see if I can post the comment. I put together a blog post with, let's see. Yay, I just did it. And I thought that I could also pin it. Oh, I can. Oh my gosh, I just totally, that's the first time I've ever pinned a comment. I put together a blog post where I have swatches, practice swatches for every one of these stitches that I'm showing. So if you would like to knit along or knit after with this, please just click on that link and it will take you there. Okay. These are not meant to be, these are not full garments. I know some of you would like projects for all of these, and I can maybe do a roundup of other people's, but this is just for inspiration only to add as, I think, a really nice detail, even in a top. Obviously this is fabric, but a knit top that was shaped like this, just one panel, or maybe as stripes in a scarf, or maybe a little side detailing towards the bottom of a top. Just think about existing patterns that you have that are really plain knit, and then add these little special details in it. You can tweak a pattern that already exists and make it your own by just adding that, and also make it a little more easy breezy just for the warmer weather. All right, without much further ado, I'm going to flip the camera right on over. All right, so the first stitch that we are going to be focused on today is the elongated cross garter stitch. Okay, now this one I actually modified from the book, from the Ultimate Knitting book, so it is not the same. This is a modification only just because I liked doing it this way. So I've worked, the swatch I have worked is just in regular stockinette stitch, but you could work any other stitch pattern. So what we're creating, let me pull this out. This is the one that we are working on now. So all we're going to do is insert in a loop in a stitch, and we're going to wrap around both needles once, twice, and then a third time around the back needle only. Then we're going to finish the stitch, pulling through the new stitch and letting all of that, the old stitch and the wraps, fall off. Now what you'll see is you'll get this really long elongated stitch, but it's also kind of almost ropey. So unlike a regular yarn over that's been dropped, you'll see this has a little bit more body to it because I've also am working with thick and thin yarn, so that even adds more to it. But it gives you that twist, which I find really interesting and also more substantial than just regular yarn overs dropped. So let me show you a couple more times. Insert, yarn over, wrap around both needles twice, around the back needle just once, pull through, let everything drop. Now I'm working with Knitter's Pride or Knit Pro Zing needles right now. I really, when I'm working with cottons, like to work with a metal needle, and I like these also because they're extra pointy. So these are called Zing, and every color is a different size, so it makes it really easy when you're hunting down needles, as I always am. So it slides off really easily. So I'm going to show you one last time. I've inserted my needle through that first stitch, wrapping around the entire cross, so both needles, twice, and around the back needle once, pulling through the loop and letting everything drop off. Isn't that cool? And you're just going to do that all the way across, and you get this. And then on the way back, you'll just knit as well, and that's where you get the garter stitch point. For this particular swatch and the swatch that I have on my blog, which is pinned in the comment section, I repeated the 2 rows, which is the elongated cross stitch that I just showed you, and then the knitting back, I repeated that twice, and then I reverted to stockinette. And that's all there is to it. Again, I think this would be a really nice detailing to the top of a top. It also would be really cool as part of a market bag. So just keep thinking, and I encourage you to experiment yourself and come up with your own project to incorporate it with. And that doesn't mean that you have to design it from scratch. Just add this detailing. Okay, next up, this is called the Indian cross stitch. This would also be a fantastic bag. I would love to have a market bag out of this. I also think it would be a really great short sleeve, like pullover top, obviously layered over a tank top or whatever, but really nice, or a shell. All of those would be lovely with this stitch. This would also make a really nice, and maybe if you want with even a thinner weight, cotton or a bamboo, this would make a really nice summer scarf, this narrow. All right, so to get started, and again, the practice swatch is on my blog. You're going to begin by knitting 4 rows. I've already done that. So for row 5, the magic happens on rows 5 and 6 in the stitch pattern. So for row 5, what you're going to do is knit every stitch, but you're wrapping 4 times for each stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulling through, and now you've got all of those loops on your right hand needle, and you're just going to be doing this all the way across. Now do yourself a favor and do not pull tight while you're wrapping, or you'll have a really hard time. Oops, that was only 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know you've done right if you've got 4 loops, or 4, what looks like you've increased to 4 stitches. It'll be really hard to move them down your needle if you pull your wraps really tight. So just make sure not to do that. And you would just do that all the way to the end. I'm working on circulars just because because I only had so many pairs, but I prefer working on circulars at all times. It's easier on my wrists, but you don't have to for the swatch. These are also zings. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way across, and what you will get is something that looks like this. All right. Now from here, you are going to begin by, this is where the real magic happens. A little bit of magic last time, this is the real magic. You are going to purlwise slip 8 stitches, letting those extra wraps fall off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let's make sure that I did that right. 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, now, for those of you that have ever knit cables before, you'll know that you have a bunch of knit rows before you cross so that you have enough fabric to create those cables or that cross. This is exactly the same philosophy, only we created that length, that fabric, by doing those wraps on the row below. Okay, so now it's time for the crisscross will make you jump part of this. I'm so old. Okay, so you're going to take your left-hand needle. Oops, let me scoot that down. And you're going to insert it in the first 4 stitches. Then you take those 4 and you pull them over, almost as if you were binding off, but you don't let them drop. Something got stuck. Okay, there we go. Pull them over. And now you'll see that you've switched places. So I'm going to show you again. That didn't feel as smooth as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to try that again. So I've slipped them all over to my right hand needle. Let me make sure that all my loops are on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want to take my left hand needle, insert it into the first 4. I want to take those first 4 and pull them over the second 4, but not letting them drop off that needle. Now you'll see that they're crossed, and then you want to transfer the other loops back. And now you're just going to knit it as if they were. So since I've transferred it back also purlwise, you can see that these are oriented wrong. So all I have to do is work those through the back loop. So 1, 2, it'll just be those 4, 3, and then you just need to continue knitting. You'll see for the last 4, they're facing the correct way. A way to prevent having to do that would be to just slip them back knitwise. Either way works. You do you. And now they're completely crossed. Okay, let me show you one more time. So I'm going to slip purlwise, letting all the wraps fall off. And this is multiples of 8 for this particular stitch pattern. All right, so I've pulled those off. Now I want to slip my needle into the first 4, pull them over the second 4, and then slip. You know what? I just don't like it that way. I think I'm just going to encourage you to just slip them over as you would before, and then knit them so that they're oriented correctly. So that means if they're oriented as such, where they're backwards, just knit through the back loop. So then you will just knit them as normal. So the first, and I don't think that I wrote that note on my blog, so I'll update that. The first 4 will need to be knit through the back loop, and honestly, I don't know how much it'll even be noticeable. And then the next 4 knit through, and you get a little bit of twisting magic. And you could just continue like that, and then you would do extra rows of garter and then repeat that crisscrossy one. All right, so, oh, and I should mention that I normally do not recommend using wooden needles with cotton. This is the exception to the rule. This is the Knitter's Pride Royale. Because it has the metal tips, it works great. And also it's really, really like highly buffed and shined birchwood. So it is not an issue at all like some wooden needles are with cotton. All right, the last open weave stitch we're going to talk about is working with drop stitches. Okay, so just as a recap, for those of you that have not maybe worked with drop stitches in a while, and I did create a swatch for this with instructions, all you're going to do is drop 1 stitch. The stitches that bookend the drop stitch, you knit twisted the whole way. Then you drop the stitch, and then on the row that you drop, you're also going to yarn over to create so that you're not decreasing, so that when you bind off, it won't pull in too much. Okay, so that's just a regular drop stitch. Now, how we're making it decorative, though, is by playing with the ladders. And you could do a lot of different ways. You've probably seen before how people have taken a crochet hook and made it look like it was chain stitched up. There's all different ways. This particular way, I think, is really sweet and kind of almost has like a floral look to it, or a foliage look. Okay, so from your piece, you're going to be working from bottom of your piece to top, and you are going to string a tapestry needle with the same yarn that you knit with, and you are going to, and this has to be in multiples of 4 rows, you are going to go under 2 ladders, over the next, and then twist so that you create this little O. Let me see if I can pick this up. I feel like you're not going to be able to see that. And then you just pull the string through. You know what? Let me see if I can get closer. Oh no, just close my face. Sorry for that unfortunate event. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can do this picking it up so that you get a closer view. Okay, so we're working 4 bars at a time. So you're going under, over, and then twisting the needle and pulling it through. Let me do it one more time. I know it's not ideal the way that I'm holding it up. Under, over, twist, and pull. And you'll just do that all the way up. And then you would just weave in this strand of yarn at the end. And it creates kind of this cool, kind of knotted ladder look. I think I didn't grab one. It should be like this. Let's just pretend it is. That's all there is to it. Super, super easy. Open weave stitches that, like I said before, you can add to any number of projects, existing projects. So that's all there is to it. I can't really see, for some reason I've stopped seeing the comments, but if you found this helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would share it in here or also on any knitting groups that you're a part of, any Facebook knitting groups. That would be super awesome. What's not awesome is the shot I have of myself right now. So let me fix that. Okay, as promised, I thought I would tell you what I worked on over the weekend. So, a few things. I made most of a rug for the Knit Show book with using a size 35 millimeter hook and this huge yarn by Plump & Co. It's pretty awesome. So I can't wait to show you that. Sadly, that book doesn't come out for another year and a half, so it'll be a while. I also finished the project for June's Yarnier box. So I have to work ahead of the time. For those of you that don't know what Yarnier is, I feel like this got so dark. Nope, guess not. For those of you that aren't familiar with what Yarnier is, I have a new knitting subscription box service that launched last week, and I'm really excited about it. We're at about 65% sold out already of our May box. So if you're at all interested, get thee there soon. It's just yarnier.com, and I'll post it in the show notes. You get a project that I've designed. You get gorgeous yarns to use to make it and a couple other novelty items. Plus you get to support all kinds of small businesses. I use a small business to do the printing. As many of the items in the box as I can. And then, I'm a small business person also. And then you get invited to be a part of a private Facebook group where I'll give kind of semi-private tutorials, videos, knit-alongs, hangouts. So get there while you can. We are shipping in time for Mother's Day. So if you know any moms that might like that for a gift, we will get it there for them. It'll be super fun, and I'm really excited about it. So thanks to all of you who have already subscribed. We'll be sending out the link within the next couple of days for that Facebook group. And then, so I can't show you that other project. So two things I can't show you because it's June and we like it to be surprised. So that's for the June box. I finished that one. And then I finished one. What? I made a shoe. Not shoes. I made a shoe. So when I went to Craftcation, one of the ways, it's kind of a bartering system. So you teach and then you get paid by getting to take other classes, which is great because I almost never get to take craft classes. And one of them, I had to leave early because I was judging the iron craft competition, but was to make a espadrille. So they had this little vintage piece of fabric that I put inside. So I finished doing the hand stitching of that over the weekend. I don't honestly know if I'll make the second one because I do not enjoy myself in flat shoes, but it's kind of awesome to say that I made a shoe. So that is really it. Please share all of the things. I love knowing what you make, and I love when you post pictures or links to things so that we can this can be like a Creative Commons of brainstorming. All right, I will be back here next week. Please check out Knitter's Pride and Knit Pro. Again, big shout out. Speaking of supporting small business, they really show up for us. And I feel like I had something else for you, but I can't remember. So I will see you on the interwebs. You know where to find me. Have a great week and take a little time to be creative. Bye.